Hello, Captains. This is the Doctor. Welcome to more Let's Play Star Trek Online. Today, we've got a brand new featured episode that Cryptic has released. This follows the last featured episode called Sunrise. This is, of course, Season 11, New Dawn of Star Trek Online. So this new storyline is basically the new arc that they're building. It started with Sunrise, and they're building this new arc as the year continues through 2015 and then 2016. This is going to be the overall arc, continuing on season 11 and I guess into season 12 and on, who knows how long. But anyway, the last episode we played, called Sunrise, was pretty fun, and it introduced us to some interesting things. We met Caldano, a person from the future who has a time ship that's bigger on the inside. Sound like somebody we know? And it was quite interesting. We learned that he is the creator of the quantum phase inhibitor, also known as the Tox Utot. Now, we know from a TNG episode the Tox Utot was stolen or lost somewhere in the past. Vorgons wanted it, and Picard and Vosh got drawn into this whole, find it scheme. They found it. Picard eventually tricked the Vorgons and then ended up destroying the Tox Utot. However, all the events taking place now come before that. So kind of wrap your head around this a little bit. Here is something that took place in the past, the 24th century with Picard and Vosh, but yet all the stuff we're doing now in the future, the 25th century, and on, is actually a prequel to that. This is happening before those events happened. Even though this is in the future, these events are happening before the Picard and Vosh event happened, even though it's already happened a century ago, in the 24th century. Yeah, I know, that gets confusing. Bear with the storyline. I have read a couple of the blogs that kind of give a backstory on things. What they do on Star Trek Online is, if you go to the main webpage, they have some blogs where they update. They're kind of like reports from people that are in this fictional universe, like Caldano or maybe an assistant of his, and they're talking about, things that are going on. That provides a backstory to these missions. So if Sunrise confused the crap out of you and you're trying to prepare for the next missions, I recommend going and reading these blogs on the Star Trek Online webpage. They will provide the background and missing information that you need to help fill in the pieces of the puzzle. And after you read them, things will make a whole lot more sense. There's a story that I just read where Caldano's told his assistant that they were finally going to get the chance to go test the quantum phase inhibitor in the Alpha Quadrant, and then he ends up going into the vault, getting the device, but then all of the sudden, he's like phasered, and it's Vorgons. They come out of nowhere, and they want the Tox Utot, they call it, and he ends up dropping it, and then another phaser blast occurs, and I'm not even going to tell you who shows up. Yeah, you just got to go read that one for yourself. You will be surprised. But after reading these, I am definitely, it confirms that Cryptic is going the way of the Temporal Cold War, Enterprise here. So if you've never watched the series Enterprise, all of this will be unfamiliar to you. But if you have watched the series Enterprise and you're familiar with the Temporal Cold War, you know who, or you don't know, but you suspect who Future Guy might be, and you know what that means. Future Guy, quote, and you know who Daniels is, and you know how all this Temporal Cold War stuff was going on, then these missions will seem familiar to you, because that's the storyline they're picking up on here. And all of that eventually ties in with the Sphere Builders in some way, but that's down the road. Interestingly, the ship that we saw Caldano use in the last mission, That exact same time pod was captured by Enterprise. That's right, it's the exact same ship. It's Caldano's ship that they captured in Enterprise. And in that episode, they did open the hatch, and it's like the inside went on and on and on and on forever. It was bigger on the inside, even in that episode. So that was that was pretty cool. If you've never seen, I forgot the name of that episode, but I'm sure people will fill that in. Go see that episode if you want to go see them capture a Caldano ship. But anyway, all that's tying into the Temporal Cold War. That's the point here. That's where this is going, whether you liked the Temporal Cold War storyline or not. That's where this is headed. So that's just a little prelude, but let's start the new mission. I have no idea what to expect here today. I have not read anything about this new featured episode. This is called Stormbound. Okay, our intelligence indicates increased Tholian activity in the Nakul system. Caldano believes they are trying to interfere with the Nakul with the Tox Utot. So anytime you hear the word Tox Utot, just keep in your mind that that is the quantum phase inhibitor. We call it a quantum. I don't know why they call it a Tox Utot. They have a slang term for it or a nickname for it. We just call it what it is. The quantum phase inhibitor. Oh, no voice dialogue this time, huh? The Tox Utot has fallen into the hands of the Tholians. Our intelligence indicates increased Tholian activity in the Nakul system. Caldano believes they are trying to interfere with the Nakul in the present because of actions they will take in the future. Caldano has asked you to rendezvous with him in the Nakul system. Travel to the Nakul system in the Alpha Quadrant. And for our reward, we will go over these at the end. But some cool stuff here. I did read what the rewards will be, and they sound pretty cool. So we'll go over this. Something to keep in mind about this whole Temporal Cold War thing is that the Tholians also play a big part. They are like able to cross dimensions, probably time travel. Well, definitely time travel. So the Tholians are a pretty powerful race. Oh, by the way, for this run-through, I'll be using a brand new ship you have not seen me use before. I am on my character, the Last Doctor. He is an engineering character. I will be using an advanced heavy cruiser tier 6. Do expect a review of this ship in the future. Ooh, that'll be exciting. I'm not quite finished with it yet, but I love this ship. I've got to say, it's been a great ship. So I'm looking forward to getting to use it in this mission. All right, where am I? Stormbound. Let's make you primary, shall we? And where do we need to go? Said Alpha Quadrant, right? And we're in the Beta Quadrant, so duh. We need to turn it. We need to do a U-turn here. Let's go to the Alpha Quadrant, shall we? Nope. Keep turning. We're gonna get there. There we go. Go to Alpha Quadrants. And the Nakul system. Never heard of it before. Sounds interesting. It's around the area of the Defera sector. So that's interesting. It's right south of, I guess, where we were in the unexplored system. But it is near Defera space. That's interesting. The Preservers would have had a big presence in that area of space. Anyway, okay. That's also pretty far away from where the Tholians live as well. I'm excited about this. By the way, I did look at the screenshot that they have on Star Trek Online, and they showed a character in an environmental suit in that screenshot. So out of precaution, I have gone ahead and put a Solanae Paladin environmental suit in my inventory, just in case, because I don't know. I just saw that screenshot and I was like, maybe we'll need a environmental suit for this mission. Always be prepared. Alright, let's read a little bit about this, because I've never heard of Nakul. The Nakul system is the home of a warp-capable isolationist humanoid species. To date, the Nakul have rejected almost all diplomatic contacts, although they are rumored to have trade agreements with the Breen Confederacy. The Nakul are notable for being one of the handful of species with iridium-based blood. Because of this, the Nakul are extremely light-sensitive. Most of their cities are clustered in a region of Nakul Prime that is in shadow for much of its solar cycle. Cool. Stormbound. Here we go. What do we got?
Good to see you again. Thank you for responding to my message so quickly.
No problem.
The Tholians have the quantum phase inhibitor. I've tracked their ship to this system, and I'm detecting some telltale quantum fluctuations within the star. They're trying to use the device. We need to stop them and recover the device. First, however, we need to help the Nakul. At this point in their history, they're not prepared to repel a Tholian attack.
Oh, okay. So we got to actually help them. Agreed. Set a course. The Nakul are hailing us.
Unidentified vessel. You have entered our space without authorization.
Look at his
If you are an
eyes.
ally of the Tholians, leave now. We have done nothing to provoke their attacks, but we will defend ourselves.
We will render any assistance we can. What do you need?
Thank you. My people have few warships.
Now he's
Any
happy.
assistance you could provide against the Tholians would be appreciated.
Consider it done. Alright, let's go to battle. This will be fun. I like this ship. Is that Caldano? Yeah, it is. Caldano's ship. Oh, here we go.
Warning. Ship under attack. Target shields have failed.
Ah, you got me in a web. I shall be free soon. Get that point. Come on. I can get out of this.
We appreciate your assistance. It is not often that we encounter a species willing to risk their lives for another. We are still detecting Tholian ships near our star, as well as some unusual quantum fluctuations. It's as if the star's nuclear fusion is decaying at an increased rate.
I've heard that before. Okay, yeah, they stole the device from us that interferes with the fusion process in
So
the sun.
this is your fault?
No, it's
Why
not my
would you make
fault.
such a terrible thing?
I didn't
You
make it.
caused this problem. I expect you to fix it, or we will hold you and your people responsible for the consequences.
These people are buttholes. Caldano created the device in the future. The Tholians stole it from him. We're just trying... It does kind of sound like a convoluted story, doesn't it?
I never should have made that device. I was only focused on the idea, on whether it was possible. I didn't stop to think of all the harm it could do in the wrong hands. We have to stop the Tholians before they shut down the star's fusion. If that happens, the effect on this system will be devastating. The Nakul will lose their home, and life will probably never develop here again.
Look, if you didn't develop the device, somebody in the future eventually would. So, I mean, you know. Defeat the Tholians before they can use the quantum phase inhibitor. Helm, lay a course for the star. Full impulse. That's how technology goes. If somebody doesn't make it, if it's doable, someone will eventually make one. But remember, he's not from the very,
lead
very,
Tholian
very...
ship has the quantum phase inhibitor. They're going to use it on the star. We have to stop them. Board that vessel and get it back.
I'll talk about that. I was going to say something, but we'll get on with the mission. I'll talk about that at the end. Okay, destroy Tholian escorts and disable the lead ship. Got it.
Warning. Ship is under attack. Target shields have failed.
Poor gods. They hadn't chased it. None of this would happen.
Ah, we gotta defeat groups. Okay.
They might have traced me to this time. We will have to go further into the past to hide the quantum phase inhibitor.
Oh, you mean like the 24th century? Ha ha ha. I know where this is leading. Of course, we would know that too. Interesting how all this is coming together. You know? Pretty cool.
Warning. Ship is under attack. Target shields have failed.
Assuming, of course, that we can get it back from them in the first place.
Yeah, don't worry about helping me, Caldano. I'll do it all by myself. Oh, not another thing. Whoa. Thought my computer crashed for a second. Oh no, they're using the Toxutot. There goes the star. Poor Nicole. I think that's not a good thing right there. They just killed a star. Nope, not a good thing at all. I like how everything went dark.
Warning, ship is under attack. Target's shields have failed.
I devastated that recluse. Nice. Caldano's back there like, good job, dude. 167,000 hull for a tiny little ship. The Tholian ship is disabled and sensors confirm the Toxutot is on board. We can't get a lock on it though, too much interference. Remember, we sent an away team in a shuttle to board the ship and retrieve the device. Signal Caldano to join us in the shuttle bay and prepare to launch a shuttle. Okay, cool. Why are we gonna take, oh, why can't we just beam on board? I guess there's too much interference. Okay, interesting. I don't know how we're going to solve this because they just used the device on the star. That's going to mess up a lot of things. Unless we can reverse the process with the device. I'm guessing that's what'll happen, but we'll see. Hello, load time. You sure are fun today. There we go. Okay, we've docked with the Tholian ship. The good news is that my scans indicate the quantum phase inhibitor is on the bridge. All we need to do is to get it. The bad news is the Tholians know we're here. They're not going to give up without a fight. Retrieve the quantum phase inhibitor. Understood.
The Tholians come from an environment that is extremely hazardous to most humanoids. You and your team will need environmental suits to survive.
Ah, understood. Oh, my bridge officers too, huh? Shoot, you know what? I didn't bring any EV suits for my bridge officers, but thankfully, I guess they're going to give us some. 5 pre-owned environmental suits. How kind of them. Well, I'll put those on my bridge officers, but I'm going to use a better one. Alright, so you have that. I hope I remember what things I had on everybody. You have that. You... Wait a minute. No, he's not. Looked like the Solanae one for a second. Alright, you have that. They're not going to be as protected now because I'm taking away their kit power. Well, their set powers from their things they had. Yeah, these are pretty crappy environmental suits. But I guess I have to have it or they will die. Who's George? I just have this bridge officer named George. Hi, George. Didn't even know you existed, but there you are. Okay, now me, I am unfortunately going to take away my Delta Alliance stuff, darn it. But at least I will have better than them. I will have the Solanae Paladin environmental suits. There we go. That's nice right there. Okay, so it took away some of my gear set, but you know, gotta have it. Okay, board the Tholian ship. Wow, this is cool. We're on a Tholian ship. I don't think we've ever been on a Tholian ship before. Oh crap! Here, eat my Iconian thing.
Tholians, just as xenophobic and opportunistic in your time as mine.
Wait a minute, I want to see something. What is Caldano wearing? Caldano, where are you? What are you doing up there on the wall? Oh, look at that. He doesn't even, like, need a suit. He just has a helmet. That must be future technology right there. I want that. Just, you know, that helmet. I guess his suit kind of acts like an environmental suit. That is really cool. I do want that suit. He's got like a little light floating over his head. That is really cool. I want that helmet. Please, give me. Alright, let's continue on. This is really neat. We are on a Tholian ship. It's dark, it's mysterious, it's huge.
Enemy targets on sensor. Flanking damage detected.
Nice. That was pretty simple. Oh, I like how those pop up. I don't know which way I'm supposed to
We
go.
have to be getting closer to the Toxu Thought. Stay alert.
I guess that way, because that's the only way that opens. Nope. Popped out of nowhere.
Enemy targets on sensor.
Man, this staff weapon is pretty powerful. What is he firing with? What gun? What kind of gun is that? Oh, that's that like 29th century weapon. They have that in the Lobi store, I think. What I was going to say earlier is that he's not from the 31st century. He's actually from like what, the 27th or something. So, but somehow he ended up with a 31st century ship, which is interesting.
On sensor. Flanking damage detected.
Temporal Cold War, I guess it just spans all time periods. Ooh, that goes there. I'm just checking out all the doors. Don't want to miss any secrets.
The bridge should be just ahead.
They were right around the corner, then they disappeared. There they are. If you say that's so, this is a bridge, I'll be okay with that. All the rooms look the same to me. Okay, I got the captain here. He might need a little more firepower. Come back here. Stop hiding from me. Every time I come around to fire on him, he walks the other direction. Okay. That was not too bad. Let's take his item here. Oh shoot, I went too fast. What did that say? Caldano says, now we just need to drop that force field, get the quantum phase inhibitor, and get off the ship before the rest of the Tholians get here to stop us. Right, okay. How do I do that?
Finally, we have the quantum phase inhibitor. I brought this device through time to hide it from the Vorgons, but I never thought the Tholians would steal it. Now we need to hide it where it will be safe from both of them. Are you ready? This will be a longer trip than you're used to taking.
Okay, well, I'm ready. Are we gonna go to 24th century Risa? Oh my gosh, are we gonna see Picard and Voss? Well, how incredible would that be? Let's get to the ship. That was a nice cutscene. This is a nice cutscene. It's like all pretty cool, and it's showing.
Set a course for the Risa system.
Oh, 22nd century. Oh, that's right. It was lost over time. Not that it was lost in the 24th. It was lost in the very far past, and then found in the 24th century. So he went to the 22nd century to hide this thing. We just time traveled, guys, just like that. That's how easy they do it in the future. Boom, boom. We're there, just like going to warp, you know. This is incredible. And this is Risa before the weather systems changed the weather patterns. Oh, wow.
Risa, early 22nd century. Even the tourists won't be in this region for a few years yet. No one will be looking for the quantum phase inhibitor here. Not now, anyway. Let's try that cave up ahead. It looks like a good spot.
But I wonder if he knows that it was found in the 24th century. Wouldn't he have read that in history? I mean, think about this, guys. Your mind is going to go through a temporal gymnastics here, but think about this. If he grew up in the future, wouldn't he have read about those happenings on Risa in the 24th century? Ataxutat being found by Picard and Vaj and being destroyed? Wouldn't he know that? Unless, of course, they just obviously don't teach that kind of thing in school. But then he would have joined Starfleet, and eventually he might have had a high enough clearance to know that information. So wouldn't he know that he was going to do this? Oh, man. See what I'm saying? Does that not make sense? And we know that...
Wow, rain on Risa? I guess they haven't installed the weather control systems yet.
That's what I just said. And we know that it was found in the 24th century. So we know this information. Why don't we tell him it's when it's going to be found? Isn't that weird? Okay. Oh man, man, jeez. Anyway, this is cool. We're in the 22nd century, by the way. Just, letting you know. Archer's time, might I add.
We have to hide the device very well. I can't afford to let it fall into the wrong hands again. And the Vorgons are very persistent.
So what do I do? There's many places to bury it.
No, that's too obvious. Anyone could find it there.
Okay.
That's better, but I still think it would be too easy to find. That's it. Someone will find it in a few hundred years, but that's a different story for a different captain.
Oh.
Let's get back to your time. We need to check on the Nakul.
So he does know. That answered my question. He knows that another captain will find it in a few hundred years. So he knew all this time he was going to end up hiding it in the past. He had to have. Or something would happen that ended up in the past. Oh, man. Like I said, temporal gymnastics.
Setting course for 2410.
Just like that. Let's go to 2410. Let's just... I mean, I want to time travel. Can I go too?
We need to get back to the Nakul.
We go straight from time traveling back in the future to Slipstream. This is just so cool. Those cutscenes are just awesome. Sir, we've arrived back in the Nakul system in the present, and Caldano has launched his ship. The Tholians are hailing us.
Return the talks, Lieutenant, and we will let you live.
We no longer have the device. We've hidden it where you will never find it. Which is true. It's in the past, which it was destroyed in the 24th century, so not a thing now.
Target's shields have failed. Target's shields have failed.
Whoa! Mayday, mayday. My temporal drive has been damaged. Whoa, he came out of nowhere. How did that happen, though?
This
What?
is Captain Walker of the USS Postok.
A temporal distress call? That wasn't me. What the heck is going on? Oh my gosh.
Is under attack. Target's shields have failed.
So here's another time ship. Wow, 645,000 holes.
What happened to our son? What did you do?
Not me. They did it. We were unable to stop the Tholians, but we were able to retrieve the Toxutot and hide it where no one can find it.
I'm sure that will be a great comfort to our citizens as they freeze to death.
Yeah, that's a problem. We will do whatever we can to assist
You
you.
have done quite enough. Leave us alone. Time travelers and malcontents and Tholians. The whole lot of you can fall into a black hole. Now go. We have to figure out how to save our people. And then we'll take steps to protect ourselves. Time is a weapon, and it will never be turned against us again.
Uh-oh. So they're going to be... Ooh, that's ominous right there. That is very ominous. All right. Let us know if
This
you
is
change
Captain
minds.
Benjamin Walker of the USS Postok. I'm responding to an emergency temporal transmission from these space-time coordinates, but we are no longer detecting the source of these transmissions. Did you lose a time traveler?
Did we? It's just so casual about it, you know? Did you lose a time traveler? Yeah, well, you know, we lost him through his whole thing he went through. His temporal drive was damaged. Who knows where he ended up? Probably ended up back where Captain Archer captured his ship. That's probably where he ended up. Yes, Caldano's ship was damaged, and he fell through a temporal... But, of course, wouldn't they be from the 29th century? Because that's a 29th century ship. And Caldano's ship was from the 31st century, which should be more advanced.
I think you better come aboard while we resolve this. Prepare for transport.
Talk about time travel. Jeez, it's just all over the place this season. It is like everywhere. It is this is a definite Wells-class 29th century starship, and he's wearing a 29th century uniform. So let's keep this in. So see if your head can wrap around this, okay? Caldano is from the 27th century, where he created the Tox Utot. Caldano's ship, which is, I guess, more of like a shuttle, is a 31st century ship. Where he got that, we don't know yet. That ship was bigger on the inside and had weapon power of a starship, basically in a little, shuttle. However, he often got damaged a lot. His shields went down, his temporal drive was damaged. So even though it's a 31st century shuttle or time pod, it didn't seem that robust to me anyway. But then here we've got a 29th century starship. The Federation here, 29th century. He's wearing a 29th century uniform. This is a Wells class. That means that this ship is from before the time of Caldano's ship, but after the time of Caldano himself was born. So they would know about Caldano. They would know about the Tox Utot. They would know about all the things that happen with the Tox Utot. I wonder, however, if the 29th century Starfleet knows about 31st century Starfleet. Would 29th century Starfleet know about people like Daniels, for example? Well, that's a good question.
Greetings. It's nice to see you again.
Again? We've never met before.
Not that you remember. We need to scan the continuum for Caldano. Would you care to assist me?
Not that I would remember. So, wonderful. We've met before. This is great. When that conversation starts just like that, you know something has gone wrong in the past. Sure, because I know exactly what I'm doing here. I'm from the 25th century. What do I know about time traveling things? Although I am the Doctor. Nice to meet you. Would you like to come to my TARDIS? It can actually time travel faster than you guys can. Oh, I gotta do a thing. There. That's how you scan the continuum in the future.
Were you able to locate Caldano?
His ship is in the 22nd century, but these... Oh, that's... So I was right. Archer's time. This is where Captain Archer of the Enterprise in X-01 finds Caldano's ship in that episode. You guys put that episode name in the description because I completely forgot it. If I find it, I'll put it in the description. I'll put it in the description. You guys put it in the comments. But I'll put it in... I'll look that episode name up because... that is obviously what they're referencing here. So that episode is where they captured Caldano's ship. That's how his ship got to where it went.
Enter the temporal coordinates into the transporter.
And beam Caldano directly to the bridge and his ship to the shuttle bay. Acknowledged. We can just do that. We can just beam stuff from the past. I love that. That is so cool. But wait, doesn't he have a crew to do this? Why am I doing this? Inspect Caldano? Oh, crap. Yep. He died. That's what it... That's... Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or something like that. That's how it was on the show. They found a passenger. He's that passenger.
What happened with Caldano?
He's dead, Jim. And it looks like he's been dead for centuries.
No, this was meant to happen. Caldano went further back into the past than you knew.
Oh.
The NX-01 Enterprise, captained by Jonathan Archer, found his ship in the 22nd century, and his chief engineer activated Caldano's emergency temporal circuit, which returned the ship to its last known time, this one. But by the time that happened, Caldano had been dead for centuries. The Tox Utot is safe. It was found in the mid-24th century by Captain Jean-Luc Picard, who destroyed it before it could be used to harm others.
So, basically, we've come full circle. Predestination paradox, is that what that's called? We've come full circle. All of our questions have been answered. We now know where that ship came from when Archer found it. We know who the pilot was. We know how the Tox Utot got sent to the past for Picard to find it in the future. All these things have come full circle. Holy crap! Talk about the Temporal Cold War. What they've done so far is to fill in a lot of empty boxes here. They've filled in a lot of content that we didn't know from the TV show, and they've actually answered it for us. I have to give credit to the writing team or whoever came up with the storyline of Star Trek Online here, because this is good, this is clever, and this is what it would be like if I were watching the TV show. I can imagine it being like this. I can imagine Janeway getting one of her temporal headaches over this, time travel. They told me at the academy never to mess with time travel. All right. And then cool, isn't there anything we can do for them?
Altering the past causes ripples. The effects move through time, shifting everything they touch, and it may take eons for all of them to be seen. The Nakul will survive, although their homeworld will be lost. They will become time travelers themselves, and their actions in the Temporal Cold War shape the galaxy you now know.
Oh.
There are some things you shouldn't change, that you can't change.
So it was predestined for that to happen to them. So I wonder what would have happened then if we had saved their star and the Nakul lived on like they weren't supposed to, I guess. Their home world lived on. Would the galaxy radically change? Would it be worse or better? Those are interesting questions. So really this was kind of like predestined to happen to them. They become time travelers. Maybe a little jaded, I would say. Out for blood, perhaps. Maybe they're bad guy time travelers. The Temporal Cold War, you say?
You could check Captain Archer's old logs for more information, but you will know all about it soon enough.
Oh, I will.
You are entering a dangerous era in history.
Great.
Time travel like warp drive before it will radically change your society.
I believe it.
I'll see you again. We have a lot to do.
Farewell and thank you. So, I mean, it makes sense that eventually when people start developing time travel, it would become a huge mess, right? I mean, that would be a big mess. And I think us humans would probably screw it up like we've already started doing. Wow. Okay, first of all, I've got to say, that episode, that mission, was not what I expected. I don't know what I expected, but I expected something. I guess I expected another Caldano mission, but I expected that we would be searching for the Toxutot and that there would be several missions of that. I didn't expect that we would both find the Toxutot, send it into the past for Picard to find it in the future, and answer the Caldano time pod question in Enterprise all in one mission. I didn't think they would pack all of that into one mission. I thought it would be something they would spread out over time. So they compressed it down quite a bit. They didn't leave us hanging, which I guess a lot of people will probably like. No to be continued, no cliffhangers. That storyline is pretty much over. And what it does is it sets the tone now for future missions that deal with the Temporal Cold War. They've set the stage with these two missions to definitely confirm to us, the player, that the Temporal Cold War and time travel is going to be a huge part of Season 11 and moving forward in Star Trek Online. That's what they've done here, and I think they did a great job of that. They've set that stage. So a lot of questions were answered from the TV show there, but I still do have questions, especially if you have read those blogs that they've put up about things happening off screen outside of these missions. There's a big reveal in one of them. Somebody shows up and a person, and I'm wondering what that means and how that ties into it. They didn't answer that, so I bet that'll be in a future mission we'll learn about. But that's interesting anyway. All of this is interesting. All of this is, like I said, it will send your mind into a temporal gymnastics, but you just kind of have to think out of the box. You've got to think, as Doc Brown would say, you've got to think fourth dimensionally. And as Marty would say, I know, I got a real problem with that. But yeah, you really do just kind of have to think fourth dimensionally about this. It is difficult for us to comprehend, but it makes sense logically. It really does. All of this, the way it happens. I'm excited, though, that it was like that. The only thing I really didn't like or question, I'm kind of a tech geek. I mean, I'm very much into technology and stuff like that, and future technology, that sort of thing, and I question the durability of poor old Caldano's time pod. I mean, granted, it was very tiny. I mean, a shuttle, basically. Shuttle size on the outside. It's from the freaking 31st century. It should have shields that would withstand a Tholian attack easily. The temporal drive should not be damaged like it was and kill him and send him off into the past somewhere. It just seems like that was more like maybe a 26th century time ship rather than a 31st century time ship. I mean, we got the freaking 29th century, which comes before the 31st, and their time ships are really nice. The Wells, the Mobius, you know, their science time ships are really, really good. And I just think it's weird that his being even more advanced than theirs would be that destructible. And at the same time, like, did he not have temporal transporters? Because even the 29th century Wells class ship had temporal transporters. They could transport people from the past, you know, directly into their ship. And you got to think about the time difference between the 29th century and the 31st. 29, 30, 31, 39 to 30, we're talking 200 years. 200 years more advanced than them. So that's a lot of time to pass. 200 years is quite a lot. Also, consider the difference between the 25th century and the 29th. 25, I mean, we're talking 400 years in the future. And when you consider the 31st century, that's 600 years in the future. That's more time between now and then that has passed between us now in the 20th century and them in the 24th or 25th century. So that's quite a far distance in the future. And I just think, even though time travel has become like the norm and pretty easy for them, I still think some things should be just a little bit more futuristic, considering 400, 600 years in the future from Star Trek Online. You would think that things might even be even more futuristic in a way that maybe it's our imagination. Maybe our imagination just isn't good enough to come up with what might be available in 900 years or whatever, you know, 1,000 years, 1,100 years, whatever, you know. So I don't know. Just some random thoughts I'm throwing out there that have absolutely nothing to do with the mission, but I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. I love time travel. I love technology. I love exploring all that type of stuff, and I love seeing the far future in Star Trek, because it's something that they didn't get into until, I guess, the next generation. The first thing was, I guess, like the Toxu Tot. Well, no, there was that time traveler who he said that this time travel pod had come from the 26th century, found him at home in the 22nd century. He stole it and went to Enterprise and started stealing gear. Remember, he was going to like invent things over time and make a lot of money. So that was like the first hint of the future of Star Trek into the 26th century. Then we got a little hint with the Toxu Tot into the 27th century. And then it wasn't until Voyager that they went all the way to the 29th century with all that storyline. And then they went even further in Enterprise and brought in Daniels, who was from even farther in the future, the 31st century. So I've always been interested about future Star Trek, you know. What would exist now beyond the 31st century? What's the 35th century like? What's the 40th century? What's the 50th century like in Star Trek? I mean, if time travel is so easy, you know, at that point in the 29th century or 26th or 7th or whatever, what about the 50th century? I mean, do they just like phase in and out of the time periods they want just by thinking it? You know, it's like, who can you imagine the kind of technology that far ahead and what a starship might look like? I mean, they might not even need starships in the 50th century. Maybe they just think to where they want to go and they're just instantly there in the universe, just like the TARDIS. Maybe it's like dimensional transport. You know, they just They just are there. You know, it takes the TARDIS a few seconds and it can travel anywhere in space and time. I'm sure by that time they've got that same kind of technology. They can just travel anywhere in space and time instantly. So, yeah. I like that kind of stuff, thinking about that kind of stuff anyway. Okay, I have totally, completely gotten off topic. I apologize for that, but I'm a sucker for time travel. Hey, all my characters are named after the freaking Doctor. Who do you think I am? I might as well be a time traveler. Maybe I am. And that's where we'll end this mission. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. Oh, tricked you. How silly of me. I totally forgot to look over the gear that we get from this mission, the rewards. So let's do that. This is a sad day for the Federation. We failed to save the Nakul system, and our friend from the future, Caldano, is dead. I know you did everything you could. Sometimes, especially when we venture into time travel, things must play out a certain way. So at least the timeline has been preserved. Captain Picard can now find the Toxutot on Risa in the 24th century. Still, let us mourn for Caldano and the Nakul people. Okay, so here's the thingy. A quantum phase deflector. This is a quantum phase deflector. It improves shield healing a lot. It improves shield hit points. It improves shield drain and energy drain, so flow caps. And it resists shield drain and energy drain, so power insulators. All about the shields on this deflector. I mean, every ability is about the shields on this deflector. Totally shield based. You're going to get a higher shield healing. You're going to get more shield capacity. You are going to get an improved shield drain and energy drain on the enemy, and you're going to resist a shield drain and energy drain on yourself. So that's cool. So it's kind of like a defensive thing here. This deflector, very defensive. Now it's part of a set. It's called the Quantum Phase Applications. You will get a shield array and an impulse engine in the future. The 2-piece bonus is called Shield Frequency Cycling, and the 3rd piece is called Energy Weapon Entanglement. Now, from reading the stats on the website about this, Shield Frequency Cycling is going to reduce the damage reduce the damage to your shields. I think that's what that's going to do. So basically, more shield stuff with the 2-piece bonus. And then the 3rd piece bonus is going to increase your weapon damage. That's right, this is going to increase your weapon damage. So, what this actually is, this set, is a defensive plus offensive set. Part of it is defensive, and then if you have all of the set, it will create the offensive part by increasing your weapon damage, I believe. So it's a pretty good, flat-out defensive/offensive set. I'm looking forward to trying it out. A science emitter, just in case you want more shield healing. And then, of course, the things that are not released yet, you're going to get an engine. This also increases flow caps, starship particle generators, and electroplasma systems, so EPS. And then particle generators is interesting as well. And +5 to aux power and a turn rate increase. That's a pretty cool engine. I like that. And then the shield is actually a resilient shield. It is not covariant this time. It is resilient, which means it has that lovely 5% absorption, 5% bleed through. Great for escorts. A 190 shield regeneration plus 10% incoming shield healing to self. Some science officer abilities will repair your shields. Oh, cool. Interesting that it's science powers that will repair the shields. The reason why I say that is because this shield in this set would be really good on an escort. However, they've tied in science abilities to the regeneration part of it. So I guess you need to have a science ability on your escort if you would use it. Tachyon beam, but no one would use those science abilities on an escort. So really, you're only going to benefit from that if you have it on a science ship. Interesting way they went there. I guess people that use this on an escort would not benefit from those science officer ability repair things, but Oh well, because on a science ship you don't really need a resilient shield. A covariant shield's pretty good. I like this set for an escort, to be honest with you, but yeah, I'm not going to use any of those science abilities on an escort, so I'll just lose out on that ability pretty much. Because the improved weapon damage, that energy weapon entanglement, sounds really good for an escort, and plus you get all these shield heals and resist to damage, and this great 5% absorption, 5% bleed through on the shield. All these things, they just add up to sounding to be really good on an escort. I mean, I guess you could put them on a science ship, sure, but I could find better sets for that. Let's take it. Cool. The only thing I want to know is that going to give me a visual? Reflector. No visual difference. That sucks. So, yeah, no visual. So here's the deflector. There's no way. There's no visuals to turn off or on with it. That sucks. Because I do like when they add visuals to the deflector, the shield, the impulse engines, that sort of thing, and they've pretty much kind of slacked off on that lately and do not give us a unique visual anymore on those rewards. I kind of don't like that. I wish they would. Well, anyway, I got my first piece, so I'm ready to go. I just need the other pieces. Alright. There you go, everybody. That's the reward. That's what you get. That's what it is. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.